Saucy, do you know, there's
What?
this other thing that's really weird. Did I tell you about the thing that was really weird?
No, tell me, Blevins. I'm
It,
very
it,
interested to know the
it was
really weird
this,
thing.
it was this glitch I was getting where right in the middle of my sentences, music. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Runeterrable Radio. I am Blevins. Joining me, as always, is Saucy Mailman. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up? Also, sorry for we have to change this. I have to go back and fix this in post. But welcome to Runeterrable Radio, the Wild Rift podcast, because we've been hopelessly addicted to Wild Rift lately. Let's make Rift terrible. I just thought of that.
Rift Terrible is a pretty great name. We may get off on a Wild Rift tangent for sure. And we might be getting off on that tangent with our wonderful guest, the amazing, the fantastic, the shining star in a world of darkness, the one and only Deach. Welcome to the show.
Oh my God. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me and for the invite. I really appreciate it, and it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you, and we'll talk a little bit about Deach for those of you who are not in the know about Deach. First off, why losers? I didn't mean to wait. Hold on. Take that part out.
Yeah, we'll edit that too. We'll fix that too. Hey, editor, fix that.
Yeah, editor. Yep, that's the mark. We didn't just call listeners losers for not knowing Deach, but really, what are you doing? Come on. One of the best players in the Americas region, if not the world, one of the most distinguished players in competitive Runeterra. If you've seen basically any tournament series, you will have seen Deach, I guarantee you, or at the very least, the team you're a part of, Team Hydra, because you guys are absolutely insane when it comes to tournament performance. So yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. But before we get into Deach, we just got a little bit of housekeeping to go over. Of course, everyone knows the best place to find the podcast is over at discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. That's where you're going to want to go to keep up with all of our new guests, to keep up with all of the cool stuff we're doing in the community, and honestly, just be part of the community, because we've got so many folks in there. Night Striker, Cosine Joe, the OGs. I'm missing like a half a dozen people who are like essentially part of the podcast.
The founders, yeah.
The founders. So many people that are in there that are just always there greeting everyone and just making it a really awesome community. And, no Kappa, but the Runeterrable Radio. I mean, okay, I'm not doing another podcast. I'm not committing to another
Me
podcast.
either, yeah. We don't have the time at all.
Don't have the time to do another podcast. But if you're looking for people to play with, or you're looking to just talk about the game, we made some text channels and some voice channels to find people. You can, there's some looking for game channels.
Yeah.
If you're looking for people to play with and don't just want to queue up with randoms, you can queue up with members of the community. So
yeah, I've never once queued up with randoms, except for the one time I didn't know how to add people and I accidentally clicked OK. That was an accident. But yeah, just been playing with people from the community. I'm really good at the game.
Yeah, I queue up with randoms sometimes, but mostly because I'm on the toilet and I don't want to.
You're trying to learn how to jungle
on the toilet,
and you're embarrassed.
I had a moment there to pause to think if I was going to say it. I'm like, whatever. But yeah, so definitely make sure you're joining that. And we've also are going to be getting some more content on the Patreon coming up soon. Stay tuned for that. If you want to go to patreon.com/Runeterrable Radio, talked about the webinars series. I've already talked a little bit with Mr. Deach here about getting some stuff on there. So again, if you have any topics or anything that you want to see, head over to the Discord, put them in the show suggestions there. But we're going to be getting some of those out very shortly. Go to patreon.com/Runeterrable Radio if you want to support us there. Okay, I got through it all, Saucy. Got through all the housekeeping.
Proud of you.
Now, let's talk about you, Deach. for those beautiful, wonderful listeners, not losers. I don't know
Who
said
aren't
that.
complete dumbasses, who aren't stupid idiots.
For those who just haven't had the privilege to know about Deach, tell us a little bit about your background. What got you into sort of gaming in general?
Like, I play video games since I was like 5, so I played a PlayStation 2 every from since I was a baby, actually. But into competitive, I got into competitive league
Okay.
in League Season 4. I don't recall correctly exactly, but I played League competitive for 5 years almost. I got into a very big organization, actually. I was kind of good at the game, but I never got everything I wanted there. Like, I didn't get to promote to the best league, CBLOL in Brazil, actually. So yeah, I played League for 5 years competitively, but then I went to Fortnite a little bit. I did I did well there, but not quite. And then I got into LOR. Like, I just loved LOR, and I started playing tournaments, and yeah, it's pretty much it.
That's awesome. I mean, the jump from even League and Fortnite over to LOR, it's definitely I mean, those are very different games for sure.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of crazy to think that you can be a top sort of League player, a top Fortnite player, and then come into LOR like it's nothing. I mean, was there a particular reason that you got into LOR? I mean, did you play card games growing up, or was it just like, hey, this is a Riot game that's coming up, I'm just gonna go and dominate at it?
Yeah, it's kind of both, because I played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh when I was young.
Okay.
Like, a lot, not my PlayStation 2 or in school, but I've never had money to like actually buy cards and to have my
Sure.
collection and to go to tournaments. And in Brazil, it's not that strong here.
Mm-hmm.
But when I played League and Fortnite, I was actually good because of the strategic part. Like, I was not the best mechanical player, but I was very skilled in a intelligent way. So I think that's why I migrate to something like LOR, that it's pretty much just you just have to think. You don't have to have skill. But yeah, it's pretty much it. Like, I love card games, and I love strategic games, and I love Riot games. So it's the fusion of these things.
Now that makes sense. Like, going, because strategy games, they're more about outthinking your opponent, like outwitting them.
You
not
also
as much
have to
like
outthink your apartment.
Your apartment as well, and your house and your hot tub. But it's less like muscle memory and like mechanics like that. So you played Yu-Gi-Oh. What, comparing other card games, because we like, a lot of the times we usually get people, they either come from into Runeterra from other card games or from League of Legends. Those are like the two big people, and people from card games. I always like to know, just comparing Runeterra to other card games you've played, how has Runeterra compared to something like Yu-Gi-Oh, and what have you liked and disliked about Runeterra?
For sure, the free-to-play aspect is a very strong part, but this isn't like nothing compared to spell mana. Like, I love the spell mana mechanic and the simultaneous turns. Like, the ability to actually play the game with your opponent during the entire game, it's something that for me makes Runeterra completely different from other card games. Of course, other card games have this aspect, some of these aspects, but not all of them. So I think the spell mana and the simultaneous turns are design wise, LOR is so beautiful as well. So I really appreciate art. So I really love everything. The Runeterra world is so beautiful and deep. So everything is so much prettier here. Like,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I'm curious because obviously, as you mentioned, and of course, many of us know you are in Brazil and a part of the greater, Brazil community for LOR. And as someone who's not part of that, but looks at a lot of these communities, I just got to say, Brazil is crazy in a good
Yeah.
way, right?
Yeah.
Everyone seems to be like super into LOR, like, and the community rallies behind the players in a way that we just don't see in a lot of other places. I mean, Europe has EU has their own thing, but it's different. NA the US and Canada, they have their own thing, but it's different. The other regions have their own thing, but it's different. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on why is the Brazilian community so like crazy is the only way
Yeah,
I can
I
describe it in a good
understand.
way.
Like, I think it's because Brazil suffers in a lot of ways, like political and
Mm,
everything. A lot of things are bad here, so we tend to tie in the good things. Like,
mm,
we always root for our competitors, no
mm-hmm,
matter what the game is, like soccer, volleyball, everything.
mm-hmm.
Like PV in MTG.
Yeah.
So we always love to root for Brazilians. And
Mm-hmm,
when something that is competitive and Brazilians are doing great, like
mm-hmm,
we always did great in LOR,
mm-hmm,
more people tend to think, oh my god, I can do it as well. So the community really ties together and works together. We have a lot of discords to
mm-hmm,
practice. We have our main league that have a lot of outside Brazilian teams. So I think it's pretty much it. Like, Brazil loves
mm-hmm,
to compete and loves to root for Brazilians. And yeah, I receive a lot of supports from non-Brazilians as well, and they always ask me that, like, why is Brazil
Yeah.
that crazy? Why Brazil loves this game so much? Like,
yeah.
it seems like the Brazilian community is bigger than the entire world, and that's not true. It's just because we tend to talk a lot about the game. We tend
Yeah.
to be vocal,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
and that's really really cool. Like, really cool.
Yeah. Well,
No, yeah,
and yeah.
it's totally true. It's funny because every time people, whenever they're asking me about like my stream and whatnot, like for my YouTube audience, my number one audience is Brazil. It's ahead of the U.S. and all of the EU for me, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
everyone's been like so nice. I have so many invitation people like, if you're ever in my part of the woods in Brazil, come over. Someone sent me pictures of like some bread they were cooking. Like, I'll make you bread and like just crazy
Wow.
stuff. I'm like, all right, I feel like we need to do Runeterrable Brazil tour next week. I
Ooh.
already booked us tickets, so
Okay, good. Because
Let's
I was
go.
gonna say, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. That would actually be sick.
it'd be so
Um,
fire, and it's gonna happen sometime. I'm
I
gonna come
know.
over and hang
I
out.
need I need to learn. I need to learn some Portuguese as well as the Portuguese accent because I've been told that my pronunciation of Portuguese words is a Spanish accent, and I just don't know. So we'll have to work on that at some point.
I can help you. I
But
can help
yeah,
you.
for sure. But I mean, I think it. I mean, even just from like fight nights and just the tournaments that we've done for Giant Slayer, it's like we loved the Brazilian community because you guys are just you've been so great to work with and so passionate about the community, and that is what Brazil has is what everyone wants. So like it's amazing.
Yeah,
So
it's so good. Like, whenever I play a big tournament like Fight Night, the community support is it's crazy. Like,
mhm,
sometimes we got like 1K people watching a tournament. Like, it's not common in LOR right now,
mhm,
Yeah,
but like, just the Brazilian stream has like 1K people watching, and
yep.
that's a lot. Just because some Brazilian is on the finals or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So definitely wanted to call that out. And if you're in the community or listening to the podcast and weren't sure, I mean, there's a ton of great streamers in the community, great content creators and players. And I know, unlike me, many of the Brazilian players and streamers and content creators are multilingual, unlike me, where I'm just a silly mono language speaker. So always great to check you guys out. So that's amazing. Okay, we do have a ton of stuff to talk about with the patch, but we've got a couple of important questions here, Saucy, that we got to get to before we move on to the patch.
Yeah, so again, these are the important questions. Everything else, as I say every time, I don't care. Throw that all out the window. This is the real heart of the interview. I need to know, Deach, what are your 3 favorite cards in the game?
Mountain Scryer. Press F for the next, but Aphelios and Platinum Egg.
Oh, okay.
Treasure. I love this card
Yeah.
so much. Like, I really love this card. These are my 3 favorites, and you can put like the entire Targon together if you want, because I love the region. Like, really love the region.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's a hot take these days. Most people are gunning for Targon. But
yeah,
maybe after this patch, we might be seeing a little more Targon sympathy. So that's awesome. Okay, so we've got your 3 favorite. How about 3 least favorite?
Fiora, Legion Rearguard, and Tankenge. But I have to explain Tankenge because I loved him on League. Like, really. But he's so annoying on LOR. Like, every time I hate to play with Soraka Tankenge, so I've never played this deck that much.
Okay.
But when I get to play against Tankenge, oh my god, it's so annoying.
You got a problem with me, Deach?
Yes, I do.
He's unapologetically yes.
Looks Tom Kench, the River Demon, straight in the whiskers and says, "Yes, I have a problem with you." All right, okay. Hey, gotta respect it. Okay. We lied. Those questions are also useless. This is the one question that actually matters.
This is the only one.
What is your favorite Guardian in the game?
Okay, I have to test Earth more because it's really good. The new one is amazing. Actually amazing. But Neandroid Von Yip is perfect. Like, I always use this, and some people say that I've never lost a tournament playing this Guardian.
It's the good luck charm. I'm all about that. Yeah.
I will say the new Earth Guardian, I played a couple of games today. He looks cool, but like
he throws a fish in the opponent.
Yeah,
he does. But when you click him, it electrocutes him. I don't like that much. I don't know. I don't like hurting the Guardians.
I love the fish. I love the fish slap, but he does make a lot of noises.
Yeah,
he makes a lot of sounds.
Not as much as that weird cat thing from
Oh
Shrima.
my god,
that thing is the actual worst.
Kit or whatever is it called?
Yeah, it like makes noises like every 3 seconds. It's awful. Yeah, I don't know. I like Earth. I like Earth, but I want him to not get electrocuted. I don't want to hurt my Guardian. I don't want to hurt my Guardian when I click on him.
You are all about animals, so
I just like, unless it's T-Hex, in which case I wish I could disassemble him, but
Yeah. You mean you said Gromp wrong again?
No,
yet again.
Gromp is amazing. Nightshade Gromp gang for the win. Okay, now the meat and potatoes. This is what everyone wanted. We're going over patch 2.5, the big one that we've been waiting for quite some
years.
And one thing I want to preface this with, if you haven't watched, I believe there was two
I think there were 2
talks. There's at least 2, right? There was one with
really good.
Swim and Riot Dovadigas. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Sure.
And then BBG and I believe Steve Rubin was another one. I don't know if there's other ones. If there are, I apologize, but those are the 2 that I saw. Definitely go check those out on their respective channels, because it gives a little context. I know, we talked about, what was it, 3 weeks ago when we had the Boulevard clip with talking about the patch cadence, and I think at least from the Swim interview, it kind of at least gave some clarity to that as to what they were thinking. So definitely check that out. Check those out for sure, because they're really good, just content and give context to that. Okay. So we start off, we got the meta snapshot back. I
like that a lot. Yeah. So I was gonna say, I
also
like it.
like it too.
Very
Yeah.
surprising some decks there, right? Like Lissandra Trundle with that much of a play rate, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, and it does say, okay, so this is patch 2.2.4 from March. Okay, so this is a 1 week period from March 10th, to 17th.
And it's from Platinum to Diamond. So it's weird because I am
Okay.
playing High Masters and I probably never find like one time a day, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because I think the majority of the player base is around platinum, like gold platinum area. So I think that's why they chose this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also like, yeah, I think I like this differentiation. Like, if they gave a I mean, I don't know how useful it would be for the public, but like have the Masters data be its own thing, because I think, playing a deck at the highest level against other players who are playing decks at the highest level is going to paint a different picture that's not always relevant, right? Like, it's not relevant for everyone, so I kind of like it differentiated.
But there's an example from Weiheimer in the past, like the win rate in Platinum was like 47%, I think, and in Master it was like 56%. Like it was
wow.
that different.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the numbers, but I remember that was really different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that there's definitely some key differences there. I do like that for the public facing stuff that they are using this information with Plat, Diamond. No, Snapshot looks at decks used at Platinum, Diamond, and Masters. Okay, so Masters is mixed in this at least. Okay, but yeah, you can definitely take a look at that, and I'll post the link to the patch notes in the description for those listening in podcast land. But I mean, there's a lot of I do like this because if you're like, hey, I want some new decks, or maybe like I remember last time we got this snapshot, there was like a Lucian Z deck that I had never seen.
Yeah.
It all on ladder, and it never got talked about, and it had like a pretty good win rate, and I'm like, where is this deck been? So I'm like,
yeah,
I'm gonna use this and see how it plays. I hated it, but that's okay. So yeah, this is that's definitely cool. Okay, let's start off at the top. We got the big boy, the card everyone was talking about getting nerfed. Twisted Fate is going from I've seen 8 cards to I've seen 9 cards for his level up. I'm also going to talk about his other associated cards because it's obviously relevant to the conversation. Pick a Card is now a 2-mana burst spell that only draws 2 cards instead. Burblefish is now same exact card except it's a 2/1 instead of a 3/1. And is that the only other like Twisted Fate-ish card? Okay. So let's start with this sort of grouping. Deach, what are your thoughts as someone who has played a good amount of TF Fizz? What are you thinking about this change to the TF package?
Yeah, like TF going to 9 cards is like much more of a prophylactic change. Like every time you add more cards to the game, you will be adding card draw. It's inevitable.
Yep.
So making him 9 mana, because he was fine at the 8 mana. Like the Fizz TF deck was busted, but the TF was always like 8 cards, and it was always fair. But in the future, he would be needed to change. So I like this change. The pick a card, I think it's really good. It's not a nerf, it's a change because it goes to 2 mana and 2 cards. But I think it can see playing much more decks now because it's like a delayed rummage without the drawback of discarding. So I really like this card, and I will try in a lot of different decks. And the Burblefish, I hated the change because I was expecting some mana cap there. I was expecting at least 1 mana. So I don't think it will be enough to kill the deck, and I was expecting the deck to be killed because it was so oppressive It was the strongest deck we've ever had in this game. With no doubt. Like,
Yeah,
not even hackering was that strong.
Yeah. The old old Hecarim. Only 90s kids remember old Hecarim. Saucy, what did you think about this package change?
Yeah, I like the TF the Twisted Fate change. I think it's good. I really like the pick a card change. I do think the card is like overall stronger. You can put it in more archetypes. I think it sees play in more decks other than just TF Fizz. I was expecting Burblefish to can't be reduced below 0 mana. And they put in the notes that they liked. I don't remember how they explained it, but they liked the
this is
narrative,
an exciting build around and payoff.
Yeah, they like being able to have it go down to 0 because it's fun and a good time to be able to play 0 cost spells because 0 cost cards are fun. I like paying no mana for things, but I expected that to be the same change. But I think the deck, if like specifically talking about Twisted Fate Fizz, just from playing today because I played all day, it's still very good. So if you liked Twisted Fate Fizz before, it still seems good, and I was getting destroyed by it still. Twisted Fate does level up a little slower, but they were still, they still have pick a card, rummage, stress testing. They still have everything, so nothing's really changed. It's still a very good deck.
Yeah, I liked the sort of the combination of changes for a couple of reasons. I think the Twisted Fate add-on, I agree with you, Deach. I think it's a proactive change. Like every time that they add a card that says draw X cards on it, everyone's going to immediately be looking to Twisted Fate because it's inherently going to be good with him. So let's make him a little bit worse before to soften the blow and make it so that they can't put card draw in future sets because people love to draw cards. I agree with both of you that pick a card just feels like a more versatile card. It's cheaper, which is good. It's a cheaper, or it's a cheapened effect, which is fair, right? They didn't just say, okay, pick a card costs 5 mana. Good luck
deal
playing
with it. Yeah.
It's like, now this is a different card now, which we've seen. We saw a lot more in the early days of LOR where they would like shift things to the side instead of like only up and down, right? This is a side change of like power level may be the same, but it's in a different way, right? So I really like that as well. For whatever reason, my first thought was Lee Sin with this. It's like cheaper cards, cheap burst cards that draw. Lee Sin likes that. I don't know if you want him in Bilgewater, but that was the first thing that my mind went to.
Maybe at some point.
I don't know if the rest of the deck works, but that was that. And then Burblefish, that's a straight power reduction, but you still get to do the cool thing potentially. It's still probably fine. My thought is like, and I'm hoping that the devs went into this level of thought on it of like, you don't need to like completely kill a card or not. You need to find the certain breakpoints, right?
Yeah.
The breakpoint for Twisted Fate was turn 4, Twisted Fate, blue card, pick a card, and then next turn, all you need is any 2 of either, you need a rummage and then either another rummage or a stress testing. It's automatic level up, right? The breakpoint now is like, okay, you took 1 card draw off of pick a card, okay, and you gave an additional level up, additional card needed for Twisted Fate. So the break point now is like, it's probably turn 6 now more consistently. But the problem is that now Twisted Fate needs to live an additional turn, which is huge. So like even just extending the Twisted Fate level up 1 additional turn on paper might not seem that big, but obviously, keeping a Twisted Fate alive an extra turn is a huge ask. And a lot of times you're not expecting to not level up Twisted Fate if it's been out an additional turn. So I think that this, and then of course the break point with Burblefish is, it's doing 2/3 of the damage. So there's obviously going to be break points where like, you don't just go completely off, especially with iterative improvement. Like it's probably a turn or 2 slower now because of that. So
I think that. Sorry.
No, go.
I think the deck will be much more focused on the combo right now with Mind Melt. So because this deck has lots of draws. So I don't think that like the deck was so busted that even with 3 nerfs, you can still play it.
Yeah.
And
Which is
that's my
honestly
point. Like,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the deck sort of come to life on Fight Night, at least when Blazing Nation won the tournament with Mind Meld, and I think either me or Casa famously said, "Man, we're gonna be happy if we see Mind Meld win every tournament." Oh, how cursed did we make that?
Yeah.
But the fact that the deck can still exist in some capacity, I think is going to be awesome. It's going to reduce the super frustrating, like, well, I full mulligan for Mystic Shot, didn't see it, and they just got to level up Twisted Fate and I lose. That still can happen for sure, but it's going to require a little bit more and it's going to happen less consistently, which I think is good overall.
Yep.
Okay, the next one, this one, Deach is praising this change. I'm crying a little bit because I loved this card from the beginning. Fiora base stats being reduced from 3/3 down to 3/2, and then of course the level up Fiora is now 4/3 instead of a 4/4. Saucy, is this the end of Fiora decks?
Definitely makes them a lot worse. I played against some Fiora decks today, and it was considerably easier to kill them, mostly in combat. Like you think about now, of course, you have the whole dice to Mystic Shot thing, but even that extra damage in combat makes such a big difference on Fiora because she does have to live. You know, a lot of times they only have so many ways to give her extra health, you know, with Sharp Sight and even things like giving it the Ranger's Resolve or Chain Vest doesn't save it from Get Excited now. Like there's a whole lot to it, and Fiora definitely seems considerably weaker.
DJ, I know you're happy about this.
Yeah, I think this change will make the Fiora Shen deck weirdly weaker, like really weaker. But the mono Fiora decks for who like this deck is the same. Like all of your cards just protect Fiora, so it will not make that much of a difference. But overall, this change is really good because Fiora is dominating the meta since like the beta. She's always been there. So as I don't know if it was Robin Zoo or Dovaghetis that said that they want the champions to rotate. So making this change, even though they revert it in the future, is really good for the game because now Fiora dies to Ravine, and you can protect from that. So I think that the change is really good and will make the game fresher for us. So I really approve. Even if I loved Fiora, I think I would approve this.
Yeah. As much as I've liked Fiora as a card, I do like the sort of soft cycling it out a little bit at least. I mean, you can still use it for sure, and you can still, you know, I was actually playing the all-in Fiora Freljord deck on ladder the last couple of days because it was actually in a pretty good position before this patch. I farmed like 150 or so LP, which is a lot for me. I got up to 150 LP from 0. Oh, by the way, I did hit Masters, just weird flex, but but yeah, I think if you really are a Fiora enthusiast, you can still definitely build a deck around her. I think Shen Fiora still, it still accomplishes a lot of the same things. I mean, she still like is able to attack with barriers, right? But yes, there are definitely some more break points, right? Where, now dies to Mystic Shot, the Get Excited through Chain Vest, etc. And like dies to Mystic Shot, not just from the 2 health, but also because you break the barrier with Mystic Shot, and now like you can't always challenge a 2/2 even with barrier, right? Like it's a risk now that you have to factor in. So I think, you have to walk more of a tightrope if you want to play Fiora. But I think she's still definitely playable, just not necessarily the, A+ tier that we've always expected her to be.
Yeah, and I like what you said slightly about, benching this deck for a bit. Fiora decks have been like Shin Fiora deck has been so good for so long. Like I just get tired of seeing a deck be good for like I don't mind strong decks. I love powerful decks. I like them to be in the game. You have to have something to find the meta for the meta to make sense. I think, and that's one of the biggest reasons why this past meta's felt so stale is Twisted Fate Fizz has been so good for so long, and Fiora Shin has been so good for so long. It's not even about how powerful the deck is, it's that I'm just so sick of months of seeing Fiora.
Yeah.
So now, like, seeing it be less powerful for a bit, maybe if we stop seeing the same, couple decks, that just makes it feel more fresh. And I don't care, like, if there's now a Jarvan battering ram deck that's a 70% win rate and is super toxic, I'm fine with that because it's fresh and new for a while. That's the deck I've been playing. That deck is fun as hell if you haven't played it, by the way.
Thank you for that
I
one,
played.
Asia.
Yeah, dude, it's fun as shit. I love that deck.
Yeah. Well, and it might be better now because Jarvan got touched in this patch as well. A stats going from 5.3 up to 6.4, and then of course the leveled up version going from 6.4 up to 7.5. Deach, have you played any Jarvan at all, either pre or post patch?
I played this battering run Jarvan. It was fun, but I lost all my LP with that, so not that fun. But like Jarvan was in a really dangerous spot in my opinion. He is really strong. Like bursting a unit in the board is really strong. We saw this with the miss rates. So the only problem that Jarvan has, in my opinion, is that you don't get to choose. So that's what I think it's the bigger problem than the stats. Like I really love the change. I think he can be like oppressive if you are able to level him because he is like some kind of a Shyvana because he generates the removal every turn. So I really think he can be a strong pick, but I don't see a deck that fits him in the meta right now. I can be wrong, but he's not that versatile. So and we saw from Aphelios, versatility is one of the strongest things in LOR. Like we see this every day from Invoke.
Yeah.
What about you, Saucy? Have you experimented with Jarvan at all?
Yeah, I've been playing a bunch of him. The Jarvan battering ram with Katarina and LeBlanc has been like the deck I've been playing a lot, just because it's super fun. The Jarvan change looks good on paper, but it's like the problem was never his stats necessarily. The health matters. The health is actually pretty big because he doesn't keep his barrier most of the time. The attack is whatever. I mean, just like Deach said, the biggest problem is like, in order to whenever you have the 6 mana, you want to open attack, but you don't always want to have him come out, and you have to play something first if you don't want him to get played. And it's a little awkward. And he's just the biggest problem is he's so expensive. Like he is a 6-cost champion, and for a 6 mana champion in this game to really matter, it has to have a really strong effect. And like the worst feeling is if you have to just play him. Like if you just play him, he sucks. Yeah. He's so bad if you have to spend mana on him.
Really bad.
It feels terrible.
I had to do that. I was playing an expedition, and I had Jarvan, and I'm like, ooh, I want to play Jarvan because I never play him. And I was like, okay, I'm going to set up this open attack. It killed my unit. And I'm like, huh, how does this? Can I I can't it's not like Magic where I can go to the attack step out of nowhere and just have my Jarvan come in. It's like, oh, I have to just play this, and he doesn't even. Ooh, yeah, that's a pretty feels bad. And like, there's something with Demacia where like I feel like something needs to change. Not necessarily change about Demacia, but there needs to be something added either to other regions or to Demacia to make us want to play like a bigger or more mid-range Demacia. Right now,
I think
it's like...
sorry, you can go ahead. Okay, I think Demacia is so vanilla right now. Yeah. It is like they don't have good effects. Like Jarvan, for example, he has a interesting effect, but it's like, okay, I attack. Everything is attack in the master. Like the only different champion is Lux, and she sees plays just with like some weird champions like Trash or Karma in the past.
Yeah.
So I think the Masters should have more cards like Citria or like Genevieve. It's interesting. It's interesting because you have to go to combat, but you need to sometimes avoid the combat with fearsomes or even with elusives. I don't think it's possible to the Master, but some kind of salty in the attack. Like you don't have this. You just have strong units with stats, not even overwhelm.
Yeah, and like Garen, I think is a prime example. Like Garen is like he's so good. His stats are efficient. He levels up like kind of easily, right? Like you just need to strike twice with him. He's a 5/5 for 5. He can either attack or block or use things like single combat. On paper, everything about Garen should be so good. And I mean, he used to see a good amount of play like in the beta, but like when was the last time we saw Garen see real play? I mean, every once in a while you see it, and I know there's a Garen Sivir deck that I think Cephalopod made that like is like a B tier, maybe A- tier, but like we don't see like Garen seems like the type of card that really should see play, but he just never does.
It's because the message, like I think it's kind of the same problem as the support mechanic has. Like you have weird units that needs to go into combat, and then they will make bad trades because they are worse than their curve because they have an effect. So the mass is kind of that. Like if you don't keep your board, you can't do nothing with your cards. Like Citra is useless, Genevieve is useless. But if you keep your board, you are not attacking, and if you are not attacking, you are not dealing damage. And it's the only way you can deal damage with the mass. It's attacking. So it's kind of weird for me.
Yeah, Demacia feels like it just loses to Ruination at any point in time, or like that type of effect, right?
Yeah, it's like I think Jarvan's like a super polarizing champion where depending on what the meta's looking like, he could either be solid or completely unplayable. Because if you're going against a control deck with a deck that's playing Jarvan and they're killing your units and you don't have units to attack with to summon him, you're not winning. Like it's just so bad. That's what I was saying. Like if you have to pay mana for him, like to just play him, that feels terrible. And he's not like great against hyper aggro, like all the like Azir or discard aggro and stuff, because you're just dying by turn 6. Against other mid-range decks though, like he's fantastic if you're able to use him as removal and a body that sticks around, and if you can level him up, you're in a great spot. But yeah, Demacia is in a weird area. It's kind of becoming in a way the new Ionia, where Ionia is the deny nopify region. Demacia is the single combat region. Sharp sight, and sharp sight, and that's it.
Yeah, that's true. Because like you can play Jarvan for 6 mana, or you can play any of the Targon stuff. Any of it's like you can play Mountain Scryer and you just get so much more. You can just play Star Shaping at 5 mana and it's more powerful than a Jarvan. Which is
one funny thing about Demacia is they have one of the strongest power play cards in the game, and it's for the Fallen, but it never see play because Demacia is shit. Like if this card was in any other region, I think it should see play. Like of course without the keyword elite there, but the card is really strong. Like it's like Herring. There is no card in the game that has the power play that Herring can bring, but it never sees play because it's kind of weird in the region. If Herring was in Targon, I bet that it would be really dumb.
It would have to cost 17 mana, like the Watcher.
If you want to buff a card, put it in Targon, easy.
Oh boy. Okay, so we got another Demacia card here. I don't know if there's going to be much more discussion, because this is more of like almost like a flavor change here, a shift in power level. I'm not sure better or worse. But Shyvana going from a 4/4 down to a 3/4, and now has Fury on the first side. And then the level up version is a 4/5 down to a 5. Is now 4/5 from a 5/5, and has Fury. So Shyvana, being a dragon, now has Fury, which is in line with the other dragons. And they took an initial power off of the base. I don't know how much this changes her. I mean, maybe. Huh?
Yeah, I'm like fervently passionate about this one. This is like the one change that of all I like the balance patch overall. I'm happy with the changes. I think they're good. This is the one that made me mad.
Really?
I talked about this a bunch in my patch notes overview video. Shyvana, one, not having Fury was stupid to begin with, just because she's got the dragon tag, and I always forget that she doesn't have it because she should, and it makes combat stupid. If they would have left her stats and gave her Fury, I think she's suddenly a decent card. I think she goes from shit to good, and like that would be. Shyvana should be fun and good, and like dragons are so fringe good. Like we've seen the like Aurelian Soul Dragons, his Targon's good, deck is pretty solid right now. Shyvana being another option for a deck like that with Challenger Dragon and 7/7 Dragon and all that would be awesome. I think if her stats were the same, she would be a great champion. But with them taking the power down, she's still just mediocre in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a buff wish list with talking about every buff I wanted to see in the game, and it got like kind of viral in the Runeterra community. And the Shyvana was like add Fury. The only thing I said about her, because like the dragons wouldn't see play, in my opinion, even with 4/4 Fury, but because they needed some kind of cheaper dragon, in my opinion, but they are really scared with Shyvana, because it's the same problem that I say with Jarvan. It's weird to have some removal engine that it's so strong and so hard to remove. Like that's why Kindred costs 5 instead of 4. Because if Kindred was 4, this game would be broken the first game before the game. So Shyvana, I don't know if you guys played Shyvana on level 2 or played against Shyvana on level 2. Like, it's so annoying and so hard to remove her. Like, it's almost impossible if you have like 3 dragons and Shyvana and she's attacking. It's really strong. And I think they are scared to make her a 4/4 because they buffed her like 3 times now, I think. It's 3 times or 2?
Well, she got a right? She got a plus one buff?
She got
a one buff before.
Yeah.
I think it's the second one, if I'm not mistaken. But like they are really scared because they have a playtesting team there. But I think they are a little bit too conservative, because if they were doing like whenever they buffed Braum to 1/5, it was really strong. They reverted in 15 days. Like it's fun to have something that never saw playing for 15 days, and then if it's too broken, you just nerf
take it away
again.
So
I understand that they have problems with like patching and the Apple Store and etc. I don't know how to speak about this in English exactly, but I know they have these problems, but they did it in the past with Braum. So I think it would be really fun to see Shyvana with a 4/4. But I'm really excited to test her, even though I think she's still bad.
Yeah. I feel like the 1 power wasn't going to make that big of a difference, right? I mean, we already have a 4 mana 4/4 Fury Dragon, right? It's in Targon. So like if they were worried about like, now granted she is effectively bigger than that because when she attacks she gets an additional +1/+1. So okay, I can buy that a little bit, but like she's a champion. I mean, I guess maybe she could be broken from stats, because I mean we saw Grizzled Ranger and Beamer be broken with their just straight up pile of stats. But I don't know. I feel like they could have been a little more. They could have been a little more liberal with the power they give to Shyvana, but we'll see. Okay, another champion that got this one is just a straight up buff, but is another attacking based champion, Lulu. Lulu fans rise up, going from a 2-3 up to a 3-3, and a similar change on the leveled up side. Deach, are you a Lulu fan?
I played Lulu a lot in League, so I love her. Like I really go into the lore, and I really love her. But I hate the support mechanic in LOR. Like the mechanic is so dumb and so badly made because it's weird that a champion, like you want to play your champion, we want your champion to be in the battlefield. So it's weird for me that you need to play a champion that it's bad for her curve. Like you can compare her with Badger Bear. It's 3-4. Yeah. So you will play a champion or a card that's bad for her curve, and then you need to make her attack to use her effect. So her effect on level 2 it's fine, but I don't think giving her +1 attack is that relevant. Like I would much rather 2-4. I think it was the buff I suggested. But I hate the support mechanic. I wish for a reward.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want it to be a 3-4, but give me the aggressive Ionia back. Give me. I mean, I loved playing. Anyone remember Freljord Elusives?
Yeah.
The OG strong deck. Give me more. Every once in a while, I just think about that deck. I was thinking about rebuilding it because like. We haven't seen that in forever. Give me aggressive Ionia back as a feasible
as an option, yeah.
Yeah. Saucy, what are you thinking about Lulu?
Yeah, I mean, Lulu, I wish she was good because I think Ionia as a region could use another archetype, like some sort of aggressive archetype. It used to be one of the aggressive regions back when elusives were the aggressive archetype. So a low-cost Ionia champion that's good would be awesome. I put her in the F tier in my champion tier list. She's one attack doesn't make me more excited to play her. I don't think it does anything. Like, yeah, she can trade with stuff, but she's still just dying. You don't want to attack with her in the archetype that needs you to attack with her. Right. So I don't know. I think she's... This doesn't really make her... I mean, okay, technically, yes, it is a buff. She is technically better, but I don't think it makes her more viable.
Yeah, sad. Okay, I'm going to also group these because these are actually technically aggressive Ionia cards. We're seeing Shadow Assassin perhaps make a comeback here, going from a 1-2 to a 2-1. So... I mean, I would argue this is a pretty big buff, but technically just a shifting of stats here. Deach, are we seeing Shadow Assassin back in the meta?
I think the community is overreacting to Shadow Assassin because they love her, because she was pretty dominant in the past. But like nowadays we have so much more good cards than her. If Zap is 4 mana 2/2, draw a spell from your deck, why she can't be 2/2 as well? Like, I don't understand. Like, I think a lot of people will test her. It's solid. It's 2-1, but in a meta where we have a lot more removals, like we have Ice Shard, we have a Ravine, we have a lot of pings, like even horror, unspeakable horror, it was not in the game when she saw play. So I think the community is overreacting a lot because I saw people putting her onto Lee Sin's lists, and I think you don't want that cheap damage with Lee Sin, so it doesn't make sense. I would much rather prefer a 1-2 with Lee Sin to make my board stable. than a 2-1 actually. So I think the community is overreacting by the passion they have for this card. But I understand like the card it's strong. It's not bad at all. But I don't think it changes that much.
Saucy, any plans to play Shadow Assassin?
I mean, I like the change. Shadow Assassin's a card that I often play in decks that I shouldn't, just because I'm like, I want good card draw. And I've been playing her in like the Monastery of Harana, Lysandra deck, which I don't. This might make it actually worse than that deck. I don't think she has the support she used to back when she had better stats. And kind of like Deach said, now we just have more powerful cards, and we have a lot more cards that deal 1 damage. This dies to kind of everything that's being played right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back on the history of like the old Elusives deck, and I'm pretty sure it died when Targon came out. I think that was, well, partially because Old Hush was insane.
Yeah,
because you could just hush an entire elusive board. But like also there's just more elusives. There's like incidentally elusives. There's incidental like 1 damage things.
Sharp sight.
Sharp sight. I mean, even things like Tri-Beam Improbulator that didn't exist. It's another way to just kill elusives that didn't exist before. So I tend to agree with you, Deach, that there's just Shadow Assassin has been in jail for so long that they're coming back to a different world. There's no longer Blockbuster Videos, no longer there. Shadow Assassin.
But I like the change. Like she's an assassin. Like she needs to have more attack than the health, right?
Right. It's a Shadow Assassin that comes in and gives you a back rub. Was what the 1/2 was.
Shadow Masseuse.
Shadow Masseuse. Yes, that's what we need to retroactively have Riot have that have been the name. That's canon now. Shadow Masseuse. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I think overall this will at least be considered more. I was also thinking about it in Lee Sin, but the more I'm thinking about it, like, yes, you don't really want the chip damage. You would essentially be replacing Sparklefly, but this serves a very different purpose than that.
Yeah.
This is not a Sparklefly replacement, and 3 mana draw card is expensive, especially when you're not getting a spell tick for Lee Sin. So that's my 5 seconds of thought on Shadow Assassin for Lee Sin. But another card, I don't imagine this one's going to be making waves here, but Fey Guide, the 4 mana was a 4 mana 3/3. Play, grant an ally elusive, is now a 4 mana 3/4. Does this change anything, Deach?
I don't think it changes that much because the card is vanilla. Like it gives you an ally, an elusive. But if we are seeing some kind of Lulu Zed or something like that, this card will see play. And I think it's kind of relevant because when you are playing some of these aggressive Ionia decks, the only problem you have is like you are attacking with Zed, but you don't have blockers. You don't have the units to give your board this sustainability you need. So this 1 health can make him block 1 more unit. So I think it's relevant. It's a good change. It's a good buff, but only if we are seeing some kind of Ionia, not aggro, but tempo decks. I don't know.
Saucy, any thoughts on Fey Guide?
I mean, I like the change. This is a card that I enjoy, but I think it's only relevant if the card is ever relevant, or if it ever matters.
Right.
I just don't know. Like right now, the biggest problem is that it's in Ionia, and Ionia doesn't see play for decks that would want this effect necessarily. I played that a lot when I was playing like Assembly Bot combos, and I played it in a that weird the deep Lee Sin deck and just a bunch of dumb shit. And obviously it's better, like Deach said, it can block more. I mean, it's stats. A buff is good, right? A buff is a buff. But I don't think it suddenly makes everyone like, let me dust off the old Fey Guides.
I mean, Fey Guide buffed, Lulu buffed, Emusives rise up, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Man,
Zinc?
I don't want to see that.
Yes, I'm telling someone.
That deck is close.
Someone better bring elusives to fight night one of these times, and I hope that they win. Just putting it out there. Just putting
Bet
it out
all your doubloons on it.
all of the doubloons. Okay, let's see. Okay, this one's a one-off here. Dreadway getting a pretty significant change, going from 9 cost down to 8, and base stats from 4-8 down to 4-6. And they mentioned this change is twofold. They wanted to essentially just kill the Dreadway Ledros Timelines combo, which this obviously does because Dreadway no longer costs the same as Ledros. But secondly, they just wanted to give Dreadway a little bit more playability and maybe play that sort of like mid-range or control Gangplank deck instead of, Dreadway kind of being more of a meme. Saucy, I know you've played a lot of Dreadway in the past. What do you think about this change?
I love it. This is one that I've been wanting. I've wanted this change before the bullshit Ledros Dreadway combo.
Yeah.
The Dreadway is such a cool card, and even today, it was so cool. I ran into a bunch of people experimenting with different Dreadway decks. An extra turn early for this effect is really big, and also being able to have 5 extra mana, it opens up things like you can play this alongside Get Excited Mystic Shot, this alongside a Noxian, whatever the big warning shot. I don't know what its actual name is. Decimate.
Wait.
I call it big warning shot. I call it big warning shot because I'm stupid.
Okay.
There's just a lot of cool things you can do with this, and I saw like a really cool Kindred Gangplank control deck.
By the way.
Yeah, warning shot, 4 mana warning shot.
No, 4 damage warning shot. It's 5 mana.
Yeah, 4 damage. It's really cool, and now we can turn our ice pillars into Dreadways.
This is the first change that one of my teammates, Lazy Guga, said because he was playing a Pilar Piltover combo. I love this change. The only thing I hated is the reasoning, because I think the best way to prevent this combo is to delete the concurrent timelines from the game. The card is toxic and it will disables game design in the future. Like, you will always need to be careful with this card, because you can never like have a 9-drop with a good effect right now, because it will find some weird combos, right? So I was wanting this change forever, as well as Saucy, because these ships are so bad. Like, and Misfortune's ship is so bad in the game.
Yeah.
Sejuani's ship as well, because I discovered it is a ship as well. But Dread, like, the only one that is good is Leviathan. Yeah. And I wanted to see Dreadway because he can play a lot. Like, he can play in the curve, like with Dreadway and Ledros right now. You can actually play the card, and it's a very much more healthier combo. And you can play with like some Fun Smith deck, doubling your spells and damage. I really love this card. Like, I think it can see play in like Keg Control archetype in the future. And actually, I don't know why they reduced the stats. Of course, it could be busted, but I don't mind. Like, the card never saw play.
Right. I think the new combo, instead of Dreadway Ledros, is now just Riptide Rex Dreadway, right? Like, it's 8 mana. You get you cast a warning shot, you then cast a Riptide Rex, turns into a Dreadway. I mean, that's basically Ledros Dreadway, right?
Oh my
kill
God.
them most of the time. I don't know. You heard it here first, folks. If we see a Dreadway Riptide Rex deck, that'd actually be kind of sweet. I kind of want to build that. Pilto, P&Z, Bilgewater. I mean, we haven't seen that combo since like Ezreal.
Back when Ezreal with Riptide
TF
Rex,
and,
was really disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just play Ezreal in that deck too, still. So
True. Okay. Speaking of Bilgewater and changes, we got a lot of deep changes. Dreg Dredgers reverted back to a 2/1. Sea Scarab now a 2/3 up from a 1/2. that it? I feel like there was another. Was there another change? Or
Yeah,
those only two?
that is it.
Okay. Okay, we got 2 changes, but they're pretty big. Deach, I know we talked about it a little bit in the pre-show, but is Deep a viable deck now? Is it more than like a C tier deck? Maybe an A tier?
I don't know if it's viable because of the meta. We are walking towards a meta that it's really aggro. So I don't think deep in a control archetype is good. Like you don't want to play 3 whales, 1 grasp, and Raination. Like this makes the deck significantly worse because you are actually right now playing high cost units. So it's hard for you to have this kind of removals because you want your early game to be stable. But these changes are so good. Like Drag Dredgers now can kill a Fiora, so it's pretty relevant. And the reason I love this change is because when you are playing deep with Atrocity, you want this cheap damage into the beginning. So you can finish the game with Atrocity on Nautilus. So I think it's really strong for you to have a drop 1 that can deal 2 damage, or at least trade with another 1 drop or 2 drops from your opponent. And the Sea Scarab is the best unit in the game right now. Like this card is completely busted. It's the best follower in the game for sure. I tweeted about this yesterday, and this card is so strong. Like you don't have a downside because when you get this card from the landmark or from Gel Hunters, when you are deep, you would have been really sad, but now you are not that sad.
Yeah.
So the drawback is not there anymore,
Right.
and the unit make your early game much more stable than you have before, because this card is a toss engine. So you want him to survive, but sometimes you need to block as well. And with 2 HP, you can never block, probably.
Right.
So this change is so strong. Like this card is completely busted. So strong. The only thing I would say is that I would love if it stops to toss when you get too deep, because it's so easy to deck out now.
True. The downside.
Yeah.
Accidentally tossing your whole deck after you're deep.
Like I really lost a game today because of that. I was playing a Mirror of Deep with Faral W.
Love it. Saucy, are you brewing up some new deep decks?
Nothing. Like I played a bunch of deep today, and it's all right. I think Sea Scarab is super strong. I think that card could be one of those units that's good enough to even put in decks that aren't like specifically doing like just regular deep stuff. All the Maokai Turbo Mill deck that isn't good but exists. This is like what makes that exist, and it's a great unit. And the stats like were more noticeable on this unit every time I played it than a lot of other unit stat buffs we've gotten. A 2/3 is just so good. Like, and it lives now that it lives so much longer. Like it's tossing an extra like 3-4 cards. It's insane. Like the amount of cards this thing mills is nuts.
I wonder if is it ever possible to see like an aggressive Shadow Isles deck that doesn't even play, like it has nothing to do with sea monsters, but it runs either this or this plus Maokai, and just like you're playing all the other like Bark Beast and that Keeper Butcher package and all that, and just like incidentally getting deep sometimes, and you sometimes just have a 2-mana 4/5.
I can see Sea Scarab, not Maokai, because he's so bad at as a tempo play. But this card is really strong.
Interesting.
Yeah, it like when I saw this, the first thing I thought of was like I can't remember the name of the stupid card, but all of the like 1-mana black 2/2s and magic, where like they have
Carnophage.
Carnophage. Like they kind of remind me of that, where it's like you could just play it in an aggressive like Shadow Isles deck I don't know if we have the support now, but I see that at some point happening. Just like I said, when we get cards that let your opponent draw, Teemo's going to be good. This card's going to be good in an aggro deck at some point.
True. Yeah, so we might be seeing we may be seeing the rise of Deep. Okay. I want to like speed through a couple of cards and then finish off on Aphelios Temple. Actually, there's only really 3 more cards besides those. So we've got Legion Rearguard, which is getting reverted back to a 3/2 from a 3/1. That is the 1 mana Noxus card that can't block. Esteemed Hierophant, which is the new Shurima card that advances the Sun Disc. Now advances the Sun Disc an additional. It now advances it 3 rounds instead of 2. And then Callous Bone Crusher, which is the 4 mana 6/4 reputation. I cost 2. Or it was a 4 mana 6/3. It is now a 4 mana 6/4. Are any of these changes relevant? I mean, are we maybe seeing Rearguard style aggressive decks come back, Deach?
Rearguard is seeing a lot of play in a Brazilian tournament today, so I think this change is really relevant, like really relevant, even because we are walking through a meta with a lot of aggro. I don't think Bone Crusher will see a lot of play, but this change is really sweet. Like, you are not playing you can play it for 4 mana if you want now, because it would not trade with a 3-drop most of times. So I think that this change is really sweet. I don't see it seeing a lot of play, but it's fine for me. I really love it. But Steam Hierophant, I would love if they make like some change like round end advance the Sun Disc 1 turn, like something like that. It could be broken, I don't know, I have no idea, but I would love something like this. It's something that I think the Sun Disc needs. I would love it.
I'm withholding all Sun Disc in mono, that like mono Shurima type deck judgment until we have all of the sets out. That's what I'm doing. Saucy, any of these cards making any impact on you?
I didn't even remember that Callous Bone Crusher was a card when I saw the patch notes. I'm like, what is this? All right, cool. They're changes, whatever.
The thing about Callous Bone Crusher is like, whether it costs 4 or 2, there's only if you're playing an aggressive deck where you're emptying your hand a lot, there's only a very few number of turns where that difference matters. If you draw this off the top and it's turn 10, you're spending 10 mana on it regardless of whether it costs 4 or 2, right? You're spending your entire turn's worth of mana, so it doesn't matter. So like, you either need to get reputation early where like, okay, I'm able to play this on 2 and a 3-drop on like turn 5 or something like that, which is a tall ask because reputation is not easy to get. Or you need to be having a ton of cards in your hand where you're like, okay, I can play this later on turn 8 and play 2 of these and a 4-drop or something like that. And if a deck can come around where either of those conditions are true, at least a certain number of times, this is a cool card all of a sudden. I don't know if that deck exists now, but again, we only have, some of Shurima, so who knows?
Reputation is much more easier to trigger than we thought in the beginning, I think. Like,
it is
much more easier with a deck. Yeah, but you are not getting actually rewarded because if you draw 2 cards for 2 mana, it's really strong. What's the name of the card?
Whispered Words?
Yes. But you are playing a vanilla unit for 2 mana. I don't think it's that relevant. Like, sometimes it would be really strong. Like, you can play 3 units for 6 mana. But it's vanilla. Don't have Overwhelm or Fearsome or something like that.
I think it has the potential to do something, but the fact that it became a 6/4 is not the thing that's turning that on. Okay. The big one, another big one. We led with a big one with TF, and we're going to end with 2 big ones here. with Aphelios and his associated card, as well as the Veiled Temple. Aphelios, all of his weapons are going from 2 up to 3 cost. And to compensate for that, Gifts from Beyond, as well as Aphelios' Gifts from Beyond, obviously, is going down to 1 mana. Veiled Temple will now only grant... it's the same card, except instead of granting +1/+1, it now grants +1/+0. Deach, I'll give you the first word on these ones because I know we already talked about how Aphelios is one of your favorite cards. What do you think about these changes?
Like, the Brazilian community entirely is making fun of me because of that. Like, everyone is tagging me on posts like Deach said because of Aphelios. So I think this change was really badly made because I know Aphelios was strong. I know he needed to get a nerf, and the most I thought about the nerf was making him not generate a weapon when he enters the field. Like, if you have Nightfall, he will just phase a weapon, and that would change a lot. Like, you wouldn't have the strong turn 3 with Pablo and everything. So I don't like every weapon going to 3 mana. Of course he's heavily heated by this. Like, he's really weak. I think he can maybe see play with a Tri-Beam deck because we already played in the past with Zoe Aphelios PNZ. But like, I don't know why you make a really cool champion, you make a really interesting champion that rewards when you study, and the more you play, the more you learn, and then after 30 days you just kill the card. Like, Fiora was there for 1 year, and now they killed her, and we just played Aphelios for 30 days. Like, I understand that it was really strong, but I don't like the card. And Gifts from Beyond, it was necessary, right? So I don't have that much to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, Saucy, what are you thinking? Are you happy about these Aphelios changes?
It's really tough. I think that Aphelios is one of the hardest champions to balance, just because of how they designed him. He's good at literally any point in the game. Like, it's never bad to play him. And all of the moon weapons are relevant at some point. So it's really tough because he's one of those champions, when he's too good, he feels really oppressive. And then when he's not as good, he feels useless. It's really, really tough. It is very tough. And it's funny because they nerfed the temple alongside it, where it's like just nerfing the moon weapons themselves also kind of nerfed the temple, because the whole, like, the thing with the 2 is these cost 2 mana, you play them, you get 2 mana back with the temple, and it kind of has that symbiotic relationship. I played some Aphelios Tri-Beam today in a couple different versions, and he is considerably slower. Like, I never leveled him up. I played a handful of games, and it's real hard to level him up now. Because you can't, like, if you want to get a weapon the turn you play him, you realistic, like, turn 4, 5 usually is like when you can play him and get the weapon out. And now, since they nerfed him at 2 health, he dies every time. So you're usually getting 1 weapon.
And Temple is not even buffing.
Yeah, exactly. So now he's not singling with Temple. It's tough. It's really tough. It's very tough. Where I think TF Fizz is still a really, really strong deck, I think that the Temple Aphelios decks are considerably worse.
Yeah, I hope that they keep adjusting Aphelios in different ways. I'm kind of fine with the 3 mana weapons, only because like it slows down the sort of Aphelios engine, right? Like the engine is still there, but it's not like, okay, get a weapon on turn of, you can play it, you can get another 2 weapons next turn, or you can get a weapon, you can play a weapon and get an additional one on the next turn if you don't play it on the first turn. Like, that's going to be much harder to do, but you can still do it in the late game, right? Or like the mid to late game.
But it's a turn 3 champion that just works on the late game right now.
Right.
It's weird for me.
Yeah, no. I agree with that. I think that the shell of Aphelios as a 3-mana 3/2 feels off for his ability. So I mean, maybe like if he was, I mean, it would. It's tough because Nightfall also wants him to be cheap. I don't know. I don't envy being in the place of the devs because I think it is like you said, Saucy. It is extremely hard to balance Aphelios because he does so much and he does it so well. And before he did it hyper efficiently. Now it's just like he kind of does it at cost. I mean, paying 3 mana for a Severum is not going to feel that good anymore.
Yeah, he was so versatile, but another nerf that I was suggesting, it was like if the weapons didn't count for the phasing, like you needed to play the weapon and 2 more cards. So I think this change is really weird. Like I really think Aphelios was the heaviest hitted champion in LOR history in one nerf.
Yeah.
Because Tempo is part of Aphelios, right? You want to play Aphelios with Tempo, and now Tempo don't reward you to protect Aphelios. Like he just have 2 health and he needs to survive until turn 9.
Yeah. Well, and like in the temple decks before, you didn't even need to run. Like you could get by without even running protection. Like the temple itself was enough to keep him alive. And now you have to play. Like if you want to play a deck like that, you're needing to put in the bastions or the astral protection or whatever, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like the Veiled Temple, because that's like, I mean, it's supposed to be like associated with Aphelios, right? I feel like they missed out on, like, now before it felt very flavorful. It also was very powerful, but now it just feels off, right? Like I feel like it should give you 3 mana to pay for a moon weapon, right? Like that's the whole point of the temple. But that's just
one funny thing is that we were playing a tournament yesterday before the patch, and the opponent we were playing Aphelios Nightfall Temple. And the opponent played a Stony Suppressor, and we were playing with the 3 mana weapons.
Yeah.
And it felt so bad that I almost uninstalled the game right after the game.
Oh no. Oh no!
I was I figured that the weapons were going to go to 3 mana. I thought that was going to be the thing they did. I thought they were going to revert his health back. I thought there was going to be a 3/3 that also has the 3 cost weapons. I think, I think you have one or the other kind of. I would have. If he's at a 3/2, I kind of agree where he should do something like what Deach said, where he doesn't generate the weapon when you first play him or something. I think he needs to have some way to keep him safe now with 3 cost weapons. I felt like they would have made him a 3/3.
Yeah.
But I don't think even going back to 3/3 would be enough right now, because I also suggested that some weapons could go to 3. Like some weapons are really strong, like Calibrum is really strong because it's versatile. You can pick whenever you want. Maybe Crescendon could go to 3, but like doesn't make any sense to play a 3 mana Severum or even Inferno. Like sometimes would be good, but I don't understand.
Make those ones cost 1 and have Calibrum and Crescendum and Gravitum cost 3, and I'll be a little more happy. But no, I agree. I mean, they're balancing like the actual power of the card with like the flavor, kind of, but also like the Veiled Temple feels like it's a miss. I think the flavor police say no to Unveiled Temple, but we'll see. But that is those are the changes. Of course, there's the new cosmetics, the Earth cosmetics. I think the emote is awesome. The little Earth guy is also cool, but I don't electrocute him. I don't want him to be electrocuted, but whatever. His favorite food is pancakes. That's a manatee after my own heart. My only gripe here with the Earth cosmetics, besides the manatee getting electrocuted, I can live with that. Don't make any more boards that I can't click on. Stop giving me rare board. Make all of them epic. I don't want to buy boards where I can't click them. Just put every single board as clickable. I'll
But
pay
the
extra
music
for
is
it.
good. But the
music is
good.
great. And now I feel like I have to pay a price on top of the actual money price I bought to play it because I'm clicking and nothing's fucking happening. Let me click my goddamn board, please. Or
Truth.
let me pay an additional however many gems or whatever or coins to make it clickable. Let me have the option to have a clickable board. For fuck's sake, please, Riot.
Let me spend my money.
I'm begging you.
They're gonna put
Let me click on these boards.
There's gonna be a coin dispenser on the side of the board, and every game you have to put 1 coin in to be able to click it. I'm in.
I'm down. I'm
down. I will be poor, but I'm down. Also, Riot, please don't do that. That's an extremely toxic idea. But I will I buy the new boards because they're awesome. The music is great, but I have to play the stupid Nightshade board. Not stupid. It's actually a great board. I had to play the Spirit Blossom boards. I eventually moved to those because I'm sick of the KD8 music. I can't deal with it anymore. I listen to it too much. I have to play the Spirit Blossom boards because I can click on them. It always boils back to that. And I want to play the Earth board because I like the music. I like the look of the board. It's awesome. I can't click on it. It's
nice to click when your opponent is roping, right? You have something to do at least.
Well, it also I'm sure a lot of physical card game players can relate to this, but I love having cards in my hand to shuffle around, and the online version of that for me, coming from Hearthstone, is clicking on the board.
Yep.
Every Hearthstone board is clickable. I'm just putting it out there. Of course, you don't buy the boards, and you can, but. And I get it. Yes, I see, chat. You can click your Guardian, but my Guardian gets electrocuted. I don't want to click him. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm off my soapbox for that. The cosmetics are awesome. If you aren't a psychopath and don't care as much as I do about clicking the board, this is a good purchase. It gets a thumbs up from me. But that's the patch, boys.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Okay, on a scale 1 to 10, 1 being this is the worst patch that's ever happened, 10 being this is the best one, where do you rate it, Saucy, 1 to 10?
I think this is the happiest I've been for a patch, mostly because I was getting legitimately bored beforehand. It was the past week I've seen 4 decks, and I'm not used to that in this game because I'm used to that in Hearthstone or Magic. That's just what you do, but yeah. I think just the continuation of TF Fizz was good before, and then it was still the best deck, and all the decks that were good before were still the best decks, even with the new set. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I'm happy.
Okay.
Deach. Yeah, if Shyvana would have been good, I would have been happy.
Yeah. Okay.
Or Warships. Deach. They should bring Warships back.
Yes, revert Warships. Deach, what are you rating 1 to 10?
This patch was the more needed patch in LOR history. I think a lot of people were losing actually viewers in their streams, and we were not liking to play the game because it's the same boring stuff every day. I think the patch is really good, really strong. Besides Aphelios, I hated the Aphelios change. I was reading the patch. It was oh my god, this is the best patch ever. It's a 10 out of a 10. It's so good. Oh my god. Then I read the first weapon, and it was oh my god, this is the worst patch I've ever seen. But on a serious note, I will say this patch is probably an 8 of 8. An 8. I think it's fair because they are too conservative, in my opinion. Even we have a really good contact with a Brazilian rioter. Her name is Monja, and she said it was going to be the biggest patch in a long time. And I was expecting more. Of course, we are always expecting more, but with that game state, I think we needed more. I think it's enough what we got, but I think they can be more. They can try more stuff. Of course, I understand because the seasonals are coming up.
Yeah.
But I wish we had patches in every 15 days. So I will give an 8 out of 10 because I wish it 30 changes and we got 17, I think. So it's fine for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I'm going to split the difference here. I'll go with an 8.5 out of 10. I think if for me, you know, being someone who obviously follows the seasonals very closely and is watching them and covering them, I think that this will be a nice patch to play on, you know, compared to the last. Not even that the last seasonal was bad to watch, but I think like this will be very notably different in terms of the meta, right? And that I think is a positive. Now, we very well may find someone may break deep. Maybe there's a broken deep deck or a broken, you know, this, that, or the other. There may be an oppressive deck, but I don't think we're going to see Twisted Fate Fizz and Shen Fiora be the busted decks for this next seasonal. And with that being really my only parameter for success, I think they've checked that box for this next seasonal. So I'm happy.
There is a guy from HDR playing FistF right now on ladder, and he swears to God that this deck is completely broken yet. Like,
okay,
I'm so scared to run into a FistF and lose like shit.
Yeah, it's still insanely
if
good.
it happens, like I would actually uninstall the game.
Oh no!
It's really good still. I think I still lost to every Fizz TF I played against today. It's super strong.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna message Drizoth right now and tell him to give me the new Fizz TF, and I'm gonna climb to number 1 ladder.
Just don't change anything. Just play the exact same deck.
That's gonna be it, chat and podcast listeners. Deach, thank you so much for being on the show, buddy. It's been a blast.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you both. I think you guys do an amazing job with your communities and with tournaments. So I really admire you guys, and I thank you for having me and for putting this together. It's really important for the community, and thanks for the chat for hanging out with us. It's been a blast.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anyone that you want to shout out, and also let people know where they can find you when you're not here?
Okay, so you can find me on Deach TV on Twitch. I stream in Portuguese, but I have a lot of non-Brazilian, non-Portuguese speaker viewers. I always answer English questions, so you can watch my stream and I will answer what you want to know. And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. It's Deach TV as well. I am always salty there. I will always post a lot of things, and you can see a lot of Affilios sad memes there with my face. A lot of people are tagging me, and I will like to shout out my girlfriend. She has been very supportive the last few months that I've been competing and streaming every day. So thanks. It's really good to have someone that supports you a lot, and everyone from HDR, the Brazilian community, and the Runeterra community as well. The community is super good. Like I've never received that much support, and I've been streaming for 5 years, and now I'm getting Twitch partnership and a lot of things that I've never imagined. So it's been super fun to hang out with a lot of different people from around the world. And thank you very much, guys, for inviting me.
Oh,
dude, thanks for coming on. It was a blast. Yeah, it was a good time.
Saucy, where can people find you when you're not here on the show?
You can find me on the internet. My website is just saucy.live or saucymailman.com. That's where you can find my YouTube and Twitch and all that. I stream Monday through Friday. I'm usually playing stupid shit, and it's a good time.
And Wild Rift soon to be.
Dude, yeah, Wild Rift. Oh, it's bad. We did a Wild Rift stream last week. It was great.
Good stuff. Well, if you want to find me on the internet, you can go to Twitter. I'm at @the_Blevins. You can also find me on Fight Nights basically every Friday over at twitch.tv/GiantSlayerLOR.
Invite me again, please.
All right, Casa. I hope you're listening. We got to get Deach out again. And if you want to find the show on Twitter at Runeterrable, and of course, the best place to find us in the community, discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. That is the best place for it. It's just the best place to be. Come on. What are you doing? Come on in. jump on in. We'll play some Wild Rift and talk about some LOR as well. But that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening and everyone who watched live as well. But for Deach, for Saucy, I'm Blevins, and we'll be back next week to talk about some more Legends of Runeterra. Hoggers, GG.
That was fun. I had a good time.
That was super fun.
I had a good time.
Fuck, I forgot to ask you the one thing I wanted to ask you, Deach, which was
Can I ask now?
about the greatest, arguably the greatest, or at the very least, the craziest play that we've ever seen on a fight night, where you're playing against Lee Sin. And
Oh my god, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to know about this. I need to know about this.
Okay. So here's the setup. Deach is playing, I believe, Nightfall, right? You playing? I think you were playing. No, you were playing something that didn't have Targon in it.
Which fight night are you talking about? Like, I have 3 really weird memories from fight night, so I need to make sure which one.
Here's the play. I don't remember what deck you were playing, but you're definitely playing a deck that didn't have Targon in it. I'm pretty sure. You cast a Unspeakable Horror. No, fuck. What was it?
Oh, I understand. It's
against Lee
fight
Sin.
night 14 against Lee Sin.
Yes.
I was playing. I don't know which deck was. I think it was Diana Zoe with Atrocity and Horror, or just Horror, something like that. And I played Unspeakable Horror, generate Eclipse Dragon.
Yes.
And my Eclipse Dragon generated Mind Splitter, and I just won the game. Like,
Yes.
I don't feel bad because I had won like 2 series against Kovirin that day.
Yeah.
And I threw the second one, but I would have won 3 series. So I don't feel bad, but it was so weird. He was so mad with me that day.
Kavira was a little salty for sure.
Yeah.
I would have been too. Yeah.
But in the next fight night, I don't know if you remember that, but I was playing
I don't
Karma.
remember what I had for breakfast today, so.
I was playing Karma, Ezreal. I don't know why I bring that.
I do remember you randomly bringing Karma
my
Ezreal.
God.
I remember that.
I was playing Karma Ezreal, and I played Karma on turn like 7 or 8, and she survived until turn 10.
Mm-hmm.
And she generated 3 spells, and one of them was Stand United. And I completely forgot that she would duplicate the spell. The opponent vengeanced my Karma, and I used that to protect her. And then they changed it 2 times, and I was like, oh my god. And Rattling Bones was laughing. Like, he didn't express a really reaction because he's serious. But I was laughing so hard, and I was like, how am I playing Fight Night? Like, oh my god, it was so bad.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I just needed to bring those up because I completely forgot to. But awesome. Well, thanks again, man, for coming on. It was a blast, and I'll be uploading all this stuff probably tomorrow, and I'll tag you and all the stuff on Twitter and all that. And if you ever need anything from me or Saucy, you know where to